Hi, Bill. It's fantastic to have you join us for this session. Thank you so much. You're a life-committed climate activist, author, also really networked in the space of climate, but also how things are changing, the trends of what's going on. That's really a focus for what we want to look at throughout this whole conference with some of the experts that are joining us. In particular, around urgency right now, why should people in any space, but in this audience, investment, looking at green finance and the growing climate economy, why should they care, focus on this, and think about it right now?
Well, Blair, old friend, so good to see you and to be talking. Look, we're at one of those hinge moments, maybe the hinge moment in this long climate saga. If you want to think about it as a sort of 60-year fight that began when we found out publicly about climate change right around 1990, and will theoretically end sometime around 2050 when hopefully we're done with the fossil fuel age. We're right smack in the middle of it. Overt climate denial, I think, is more or less done, at least in most places. I think it got on the plane to Florida with Donald Trump and not coming back. And over the last 10 years, we've watched the engineers drop the price of solar and wind power so that they're the cheapest way to generate electricity, meaning that if we wanted to make big steps right now, we finally could. And the scientists tell us we absolutely have to, that we're out of runway. They've told us that if we hadn't fundamentally transformed our energy system by 2030, which they've defined as cutting emissions in half, then the targets we set at Paris just 6 years ago are by the board. So this is the moment. If we're ever going to do it, we have the capacity to do it now. We have the maybe the political space to start doing it now. We have the economic ability to do it now, and God knows we've got the warnings that the time has come. I mean, it's pretty much, the good Lord has done his very best. What do we think? 3 billion animals died in those fires in Australia a year ago. I mean, I don't really know what other kind of warning people are waiting for.
And I guess maybe on the optimistic side, it is a kind of brand new economic moment. What would you say to people who are just maybe coming to the idea that investing through green finance is a great thing, coming to it new? How do you approach it?
Right.
Why the urgency? And is it happening all over the world?
So first thing to be said is this is obviously going to be the most important economic transition, the largest one that human civilization's ever undergone. To move from fossil fuels at the heart of our economy to the moment when we burn no fossil fuel at all, and to do it very, very quickly is a task of enormous order. And so around the world, everybody is starting to pay attention. The first thing to be said is there's no possible way anymore to make money out of fossil fuels. It's been the worst performing part of our economy for a decade, for all kinds of reasons, including that people have come up with a cheaper, better alternative to providing energy services. But that doesn't mean automatically that we're going to go at the pace we need to go to get where we need to go. That'll require really nimble government action, but also it'll require people behaving seriously in our financial communities, understanding that they're part of this fight. And if they don't redirect flows of capital, then there's not a chance because, not a chance in the short run and not a chance in the long run. And it is worth remembering that on a broken planet, everything goes to zero. So it's probably worth playing a part here.
Absolutely. I guess one question that many people in attending this might have front of mind is, where does the conflict between profit and open-ended growth and climate action leave us? Is there a way forward that accommodates some of both, perhaps slightly changed in how we do it? What are your thoughts?
I don't actually know the answer to that. We do know the answer to this question. Does laissez-faire, unrestrained free market capitalism work? Not if you're worried about the future of the planet. It clearly doesn't. That's what we've been doing since Reagan and Thatcher. And now the temperature has gone up, a degree Celsius, and we've melted most of the Arctic. So that's the verdict. And so it's very clear that just continuing down that path doesn't work, we're going to have to put real, we're going to have to shape where we want our economies to go instead of letting them just follow some magnetic north of very short-term profit, because that's what's gotten us in the fix that we're in. Whether or not we can figure out, people can figure out ways to have an economy that looks more or less like ours, I don't really know. But I know that the boundary that has to be respected is we need a planet that looks more or less like ours, because absent that, we're in, well, we're in, if not in hell, we're in a place of a similar temperature.
Absolutely. Thanks, Bill. We're really looking forward to diving in a bit more with our guest, Bree Williams, when she joins us. I think diving into some of this for people who are working in the green finance space or in investment space, it's really important. It's not just about money making. It's not just about solving climate change. It's also about how to interpret the information that's moving very quickly. So we're hoping that you and she can help shine a little bit of a light on how people can approach it, understand it, and then work with it. So
I'm looking forward to it very much. You know, I'm no financier, but we've, in the course of running this massive divestment campaign, which has turned into the biggest sort of corporate campaign of its kind in history, we're at about $15 trillion now in endowments and portfolios that have divested. I've learned a lot about how people think about some of these questions, and I'll be eager to talk about it.
Great. Us too. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care, friend.
Please visit sparknetwork.com for your complimentary registration.